Kasuri Saab might have said, I won't speak.
Are?
Ashok Bhan Saab, would you like to say? Yes.
Good evening, everybody. I am delighted to be the part of this. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible very much.
Yes.
I am delighted to be part of this remembrance of our great leader, Dr. Manmohan Singh, with whom I had the privilege of working very closely, not from his tenure as Prime Minister, but his tenure as Finance Minister also during Narasimha Rao ji's tenure as Prime Minister. And Manmohan Singh ji, as I knew him and I have known him, was a man of very deep culture. Besides being a man of deep culture, he was a proponent, a very fierce advocate of peace in South Asia. And his famous line always was that we wish to build up a robust economy in South Asia, and the route for building that robust economy to South Asia should be from Kashmir. And he wanted genuinely Kashmir to be a pathway for that. And in that endeavor, he, number of occasions, he asked me as a Kashmiri that you have to help us in this process, and I very earnestly helped him. And he, from time to time, gave me a very respectable audience and respected my views on Kashmir. And I wish to say that Manmohan Singh was always a man of ideas, out-of-box ideas. He wanted to do something out of box. And out of box, I mean that he wanted to straighten the relationship between India and Pakistan very genuinely and very honestly. He tried his best. There were some compulsions back home in politics, at international levels also. I remember a fact that we were interlocuting with those elements, those leadership of Kashmir, which has for some reason not been in the mainstream for a long time. And a very large group we got during Narasimha Rao's time to meet up to him. And before we could venture a meeting of that group with Mr. Rao, I was surprised that he told me that you better talk to Dr. Manmohan Singh first. I said, what has he got to do with it? He said he has got to do something very serious with it. So that was the first occasion on the instance of Prime Minister Rao that I was made to see Dr. Manmohan Singh, and then we developed a very intense relationship and very personal relationship. Thereafter, I acted when Sati Lamba was acting as an external interlocutor for Pakistan. I was very quietly acting as his point man with Kashmir. And we had our friend who was his NSA later. First he was Foreign Secretary and then NSA, Mr. Menon. He was the main coordinator of our activities. And my point is, I remember one day having arranged a meeting between Mirwais and Dr. Manmohan Singh. And I was present in the meeting. Manmohan Singh was a great patriot also. And he told Mirwais in my presence that India is a robust democracy and you can agitate anything, you can ask for anything. But keep in mind the sensibilities and sensitivities of Indian public opinion which is also heavily attached to Kashmir and Kashmiri ethos. So therefore, you have to be very careful. And then Hurriyat requested us that they should be allowed to go to Pakistan. And it was a great effort by all of us to convince Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to allow the Hurriyat to travel to Pakistan and then to USA also. And then after they met Manmohan Singh ji, they would always say that we will, sir, come with a very concrete and structured formula for this. Because he was convinced that if New Delhi and Kashmir is on this one side, it will give him some leverage with Pakistan to move forward. And he wanted it genuinely. But in that context, let me tell you, I have to blame my own people for that. They never went back to Manmohan Singh with any concrete formula or any concrete suggestion, except that they wanted their visit to be facilitated. And within them, there was a person who said, allow me to stay there in Pakistan for more time. And
Please conclude.
And Manmohan Singh ji allowed that to happen. And still, the Kashmiris have failed him in that effort. That is number one. Number two, many people made suggestions that we have to move forward. In the context of Kashmir, I am an incorrigible optimist on Kashmir and also on Indo-Pak relations. As both the veteran politicians of Pakistan said on this program, that there is always a silver line and there is always an opportunity available. Even diplomatically, both countries cannot be enemies for long and for life. It's not possible in the current diplomatic and international relations. Now that Kashmir has transitioned from turbulence to democracy, recent elections have shown that, there is all the more reason for India and Pakistan to come closer and Pakistan to realize that all their efforts, covert or overt, to support any separatist ideology or to support any policy of terror is a futile exercise, and Kashmiris are rejecting it. They have rejected it. So therefore, renew your thinking, renew your strategy, and come back with clean hand to India. If you move one step forward, I am hopeful that India is willing to move two steps forward for this. And as Judge Saraf said, that for Kashmiris, it's a vested interest of a huge nature. So therefore, I beseech the authorities of Pakistan, as was said today, that civil society is for it, military is for it, politics in Pakistan is for it, and above all, the people of Pakistan are for it. Let them demonstrate this. Let the official policy be renewed and be revisited, and let them demonstrate it. If they come one step forward, we'll persuade our Indian government and Indian civil society to move three steps forward. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we can hear you.
Okay. The first thing is his humility. As former Prime Minister of India, I remember whenever I visited him along with my wife, he and his wife, Mrs. Gurcharan Kaur, would stand in the porch to receive us. He didn't have to do that. So he was such a man, a sincere man, a man of great humility. On a personal level, again, it was a time that we not only tried to bring peace between Pakistan and India. Mani is absent today. Mani Shankar and I tried our best to this Iran-Pakistan-India gas pipeline. We used to call it a pipeline of peace. And we succeeded to a large extent. I won't go into details until India changes position. But the upshot was that Mani, because of his integrity and because of his the stand that he took, lost his office. He was no longer petroleum minister and became minister for sports and Panchayat. I won't go into details. So on a very personal note, when my book was being published, it's one of the few books that's been published simultaneously in Pakistan and India. The state of relations in our country has been so pathetic. But this was one of the rare books. It was published by OUP in Pakistan and by Penguin in India. I wanted that my primary interlocutors in the world at that time, or Pakistan's interlocutors, had been Dr. Manmohan Singh, President Bush, and the Prime Minister of China. I wanted Manmohan Singh's photograph along with the other two on the cover. OUP had no objections, but since Dr. Manmohan Singh was out of office, Penguin for some reason objected. I don't know why, but they didn't want his picture. So I insisted. So what they did is there were no pictures on the Indian edition, but on the Pakistani edition, I was able to put his picture along with the top 3 leaders I thought in the world at that time that I interacted with. And I was very pleasantly surprised when I went to see him in Delhi. It was my Pakistani book that was lying on his central table. I was thrilled. You can't believe how thrilled I was. It was the only book, and it was lying on his central table. And another thing, on a personal note, he said to one Indian who's alive and a Pakistani who unfortunately died, that the Foreign Minister of Pakistan has stated, it's expressed surprise that the Foreign Minister of Pakistan seems to have stated everything truthfully. He did not expect that as former foreign minister, I'll put that on record, but I've always believed that the only way to promote peace is to be upfront and to be truthful. And he therefore attended my book launch in Delhi, along with the then opposition leader, Mr. L.K. Advani, and President Musharraf, who was then former president, attended the book launch in Karachi. So these are the personal notes. I also remember that when he was invited and then of course on a very personal level, his comment is always, I've remembered that comment, he wanted to promote not just Pakistan-India peace, but also regional peace. And because of that, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I lost you briefly. So then on Pakistan-India peace, he went beyond that. He wanted regional peace. And he therefore was a great promoter of SARC. And I remember that on a regional and on a very, very touching level, he said, I hope the day will come when we can have breakfast in Amritsar, lunch in Lahore, and dinner in Delhi. So these are all very personal memories because I thought the nature of this discussion is such today. His core contribution, peace in South Asia, I can keep on speaking, but I know you have a time limitation. Money is made my job easier, but I will answer any question. Why 4 points? Why was it 12 or 16 points as Money says it was? And why have we still not arrived? And what is the future of those 4, 12 or 16 points? I'm quite happy when you ask me to do that. It is also important to put on record that although Dr. Manmohan Singh carried it forward, it was Prime Minister Vajpayee of the BJP, under whose auspices and President Musharraf that it started, but Dr. Manmohan Singh carried forward with great sincerity. And another thing on a very personal level, whenever I met him, he expressed a desire to visit his village Ka in Chakwal. It couldn't happen. I won't go into reasons, I know some of them, but I do hope that Mrs. Gursharan Kaur and his children will visit Chakwal. So I'm just going on a personal level and going down the memory lane. Another thing that comes to my mind, that is, yes, I was just looking at my old papers and books, and I just thought of 1 or 2 things. One was the carnival atmosphere in Delhi. those of the Cassandras who think Pakistan-India relations can never improve will always be surprised by the twists and turns. Even Prime Minister of India, the current Prime Minister, surprised people by visiting Lahore when we did not expect it. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, former Prime Minister, recently spoke and expressed his desire that Prime Minister of India, that is the current Prime Minister Modi, visit. I won't be surprised because I have seen so many ups and downs, so we shouldn't lose hope. Then, when I was looking at my old papers, I thought in a very important interview of his, I just like to read a few lines, was his interview with Mr. I think Jonathan Parr, if I can find it. And if I can't, I'll read it later because I don't want to waste your time. So I'm not able to at the moment current. And he in fact traced the background, the differences with Pakistani and Indian approach, in which he said, this is Pakistan's approach, this is India's approach. The challenge is how to bring the two together. And my response is that he succeeded in bridging the positions and brought about a solution or the framework of a solution. I believe Dr. Radha Kumar is also here. I'd like to take this opportunity to compliment her. She worked very hard also at her own level, and but that's a different story. So he made huge contribution to peace, and I would like to conclude without going into details. The details are there in my more than 800-page book that Bunny calls Tome. But I'm very happy to pay tributes to a great man who has passed. But I am certain that the work we did then, I am proud to have put it on record. And in fact, I remember also Ambassador Lamba more or less said the same things many years later when his book was published. So here is an account by a Pakistani, here's an account by an Indian.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from Islamabad, and it's a pleasure to be in this diverse and distinguished company of ladies and gentlemen who are committed to the peace process between Pakistan and India, which has seen its ups and downs. I'll just, in my very brief remarks, I'll just give you two basic points. Number one, before I talk about Mr. Manmohan Singh, just the big picture, the context, and then we briefly discuss Manmohan Singh Saab. I think there have been three occasions when Pakistan and India came close to some sort of a settlement under different leaderships. The first was under Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Prime Minister Gujral, when they agreed on this composite dialogue process, starting with the meeting in Male in 1997. And I was also present in that as Information Minister of Pakistan. And the second time was Mr. Vajpayee, when he came to Lahore on his famous bus journey. I was not just Minister for Information, I was also Minister in waiting to Mr. Vajpayee. So I spent 4 days with him and a lot of discussions. And I think Vajpayee was probably one of the greatest statesmen of South Asia. He had a Nixonian vision on relations with Pakistan, and he was willing to take the big steps which are necessary. And he had the courage to do so. And the third was, of course, Dr. Manmohan Singh Saab and General Musharraf, when they had the back channel with Mr. Lamba and Tariq Aziz. And earlier, if you recall, there was a back channel between Mr. Mishra and Mr. Naik under Vajpayee Saab and Mian Nawaz Sharif Saab. So, and I was on all three occasions, I had a role in that because I was at the present or as an interlocutor. And I used to meet Mr. Lamba, who was a good friend of mine, because he had served in Pakistan twice, Deputy Head of Mission under Natwar Singh, and then High Commissioner also. And he used to stay in Punjab House because he didn't want to be seen at a hotel. And he would be having those back channel discussions with Mr. Tariq Aziz, who was a confidant of Mr. Musharraf's. Coming to Dr. Manmohan Singh Saab, we had gone there with Chaudhry Shujaat Hussain Saab, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, in 2005 on his invitation. And remember, we had a very good meeting with him and discussion. And most of the meetings were in discussions were in Punjabi, because they're mostly Punjabi. And we talked about his village, and Chaudhry Shujaat Saab told him, said, take big steps. So he said jokingly, "Chaudhary Sahab, main marwana dena kidhar hai?" So no, he was a lot of sense of humor, low-key person with substantive and a lot of dignity. And then the other talks were there. Kasuri Sahab was also present there in 2006 in New York. It was in September 2006. I was with General Musharraf, and so was Kasuri Sahab. And flanking Dr. Manmohan Singh Sahab was Natwar Singh Sahab, and K.R. Narayanan, I think, is National Security Advisor. Now, at that time, we were very keen to have that opportunity for a breakthrough, but there were some, I think, internal difficulties. And I also felt, and we also felt, our team, that Mr. Natwar Singh and Mr. K.R. Narayanan were holding him back by the sleeve. There were two big opportunities which were lost in Dr. Manmohan Singh's period. One was mentioned by Shyam Saran Saab in his book, How India Views the World. When we came close to a settlement on Siachen, everything was agreed upon. But I think the Indian security establishment, General J.J. Singh and K.R. Narayanan, scuttled that, according to Shyam Saran. The second opportunity was scuttled from the Pakistani side when Manmohan Singh Saab wanted to visit Pakistan in April 2007. And there had been a lot of back-channel discussions. But starting from 9th of March 2007, when General Musharraf sacked the Chief Justice, there was a lawyers' movement against General Musharraf. And General Musharraf had a meeting and he said, I want to welcome Dr. Manmohan Singh Saab. This is his message. It was a cipher message he shared with some of his people there. And I was there also present when he discussed. But now I think it's not a good time, because if he comes, then the opposition will use it to undermine him. And that was his thing. So unfortunately, that opportunity was missed out. Dr. Manmohan Singh, I think after Vajpayee Saab, was probably the one Indian leader who, and also Gujral Saab, who were very keen on that relationship and who were willing to take the big steps. But I think luck was not on their side, and this relationship is accident prone, and often things happen. And unfortunately, that historic opportunity was also lost, like the Vajpayee visit was lost because of the Kargil fiasco. So I think I'll close on that. And I think that here in Pakistan, some people feel that Mr. Modi, since this may be his last term, he may seek a legacy of opening up. So India-Pakistan relations have always sprung surprises from both sides. So let's see how things shape out this time around. Thank you so much, O.P. Shah Saab. Thank you for your initiative. And you've always been a great exponent for Pakistan-India relations and your book project and other initiatives. And we in Pakistan welcome that. And I would like to assure you that in Pakistan, there is currently no constituency that seeks confrontation